Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's DLloyd. So we are waiting on the next deep dive from EA Sports in regards to College Football 25. But in the meantime, I came across this tweet by Hitstick News that pretty much summed up all of the information that we have regarding Dynasty mode and Road to Glory mode. So we're just going to just read that tweet, go through it, give you guys my opinions on it, and that should keep everybody fully up to date as to what we know so far on these modes. Now, what we're hearing on the streets, the Twitter streets, the X streets, whatever you want to call it now, is that the next deep dive from EA is actually going to be presentation and not Dynasty or Road to Glory. So we do know we are less than a month away from the official release of the game. So news should be coming relatively soon. But for right now, this is all we got. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it, man. And right away, like I said, this is the tweet. This is the tweet that I seen, and it goes over quite a bit. And we're going to go over the stuff now. So the details that we know about Dynasty mode so far, I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible. Dynasty mode is 30 years. We pretty much knew that. Coaching, the coordinators, you could actually choose who you hire. In NCAA Football 14, all the other ones that had the coaching carousel, all of the offensive and defensive coordinators were assigned to you. They were not coaches that you chose yourself. I also heard that they could leave for other reasons. So they could leave to go take on other jobs. They could even leave to go to the professional ranks, aka the NFL. So that is definitely cool to see there. When choosing a coaching style at the beginning, when you create your coach, you could choose from motivator, recruiter, or tactician. We don't know exactly which each one is going to give you in terms of benefits, but there are 3 different scenarios you could choose from at the beginning. Somewhat like Madden right now, when you choose to be a head coach, you could be a team builder, I believe it's staff builder, and you get some perks from there. We just talked about hiring and firing coordinators. That pretty much ties in with choosing your offensive and defensive coordinators, but that does just make it all feel more organic, and it feels like it's your staff that you're putting together. I think that is super dope. Coaches will have 11 different skill trees to help develop their legacy, and this is expanding on what originally started in NCAA. Madden just adopted it the last few years with staff points and able to add with the skill trees. Now the question is, what perks are these skill trees going to have to offer? Is it going to be speed skill trees? Is it going to be +3 to man coverage if you have a good DB guy? What are we going to get in these skill trees, and is it possible to fill it up? What we're hearing is it's pretty much impossible to fill up all 11 trees in the skill tree branch. So it seems like you're going to have to pick and choose. The hope and the goal is that you're going to have to pick and choose exactly what you want in terms of how you want to develop your coach and your coordinator. So that is definitely something we need more information on. That's why we need this Dynasty deep dive sooner rather than later. But regardless, it's still cool stuff. Number 6, scout/recruits are allocated points in different ways, featuring modern communication to help recruit players. Now this kind of ties back to what we heard yesterday, that you could DM players, and that is one way you get in communication with them. So I do think they modernized how you go about contacting them. It used to just be email and then phone call. Maybe now it's DM or text and phone call, right? You have to assume that did change, but we do know that you have to contact recruits and you have to allocate points. What does that mean? We know you have to contact them, but are we still going to have the point branch from the PS2 NCAAs or the NCAA 14 days? Or from what I heard, you have to call them and actually allocate that time and sell pitches to them. I don't know. I'm getting all types of things, and I think we definitely need to get down to the bottom of it, exactly how it's going to work. But every time you hear about recruiting, it's going to be cool. We heard yesterday about NIL deals. We also heard that NIL is not in the game and it's brand exposure. So a lot of stuff that we had to fully figure out, man. I'm excited, just like y'all, to actually hear more about exactly how this works. Number 7, deal breakers will be on a much bigger scale, and some players simply won't be won over. Now, I think this is awesome. If you play Revamp, they had a recruiting tool, and I think they baked it into the actual game now if you use the update or the most up-to-date college football revamped. But teams and players, not teams, but players are just going to say out the gate, like, no, I'm not going to rock with you. I have my top teams, and if I want to play close to home, I don't care if you are, you know, Florida State. You know, I'm on the West Coast. So say you are Florida State or Miami. Like, bro, I'm not going across the country. I want to stay close no matter what. That could be a deal breaker. And just making sure that they work where teams are going to have advantages if they, you know, they're able to cater to whatever that player wants. I think that is important. I think that's what separates, you know, certain teams. And just sometimes you luck up and you could be a smaller school with the right situation for a player and you end up getting that player. You don't want that on every player, but you definitely want that in every single recruiting class every year, right? You want a player that goes to a random school because of that. That's somewhat realistic. You just don't want, you know, 8 of your top 20 guys doing that. That would be a little crazy at that point. Number 8, you could go as simple as sending a DM to a prospect or go all in, inviting prospects to specific games to help dictate their decision. We just talked about this. We heard about this yesterday. We know you can always invite players to visit on certain games. What they're saying is that the bigger the game, the more meaningful that visit is. We have always had that system, so I'm not too excited about that. We always know rivalry games count as more, top 25 games, conference games, all of those counted as more in terms of points that you got potentially during that visit. So I'm not too crazy about that. And DM, like I said, could just probably just be an old school email, right? But it's cool nonetheless. Number 9, if there is heavy interest, it would be ideal to invite them to one of the top matchups on the schedule, as it weighs heavier than in the past. So they're saying it weighs more. We always knew it made a difference, but it weighs more. One thing I do want to know, because I think everybody has kind of psychologically did, I have done it, where I know, say I'm Kentucky, and on our board, the guy wants to go to either Kentucky or Tennessee, and I'm going to invite him to Tennessee, beat Tennessee, and then be like, yo, there's no way you want to go to Tennessee. And I'm not sure if it ever affected the recruit. I'm pretty positive it didn't. It just gave you the points, but that is it. I wonder if it could ever be a system where it may take something away from Tennessee because they lost that game and they were on their list. That would be dope. I think a lot of people would love that, and the trash talking, especially in online dynasties with that, are going to be crazy. Absolutely crazy if that is the case. I don't think so, but if it is, man, I will go absolutely crazy. Stuff that we heard from Dynasty notes, program grades for the schools can be improved for recruiting, and players will also be a risk on a week-to-week basis of being won or lost. This allows for more of a focus from week to week to be more heavily involved in decision making. This is interesting. This is interesting. How much variance are you going to get in the player grades every single week, or the program grades? I am not sure. We will have to kind of know what all of the available pitches are to kind of see what is going to improve in that so quickly. But I do like that just in general is giving you something that you need to focus on every single week. I think that is one thing mainly with me when you play the pro games, especially the way Madden is now, and the scouting is so hands off until the off season. That's really just the best time to scout in Madden, that you really don't have much to do in between games. This makes it where you have something to do every single week. Even on a bye week, you need to at least make sure your scouting and your recruiting is A1 and you're focused on that. And if you can make this a journey where some players commit quickly, some players take a long time to recruit, it's going to just impact the game and make it that much more entertaining and make a commitment mean that much more. So that's stuff that's all very, very cool to me, man. I love recruiting. It's my favorite aspect of these games. So you guys are going to hear me get super excited pretty much any type of recruiting improvements. Number 2, the art team also curated 16,000 different head models that were created from photographs to help with ongoing generic players that will come in over the duration of the dynasty. Now we know 30 years, 16,000 faces is crazy. Crazy. I'm sure they're using some type of AI technology. I would hope so. AI is getting so good now. Why not be able to just crank things out like this? It did say it's created from photographs, but you can use AI to kind of make you different variations from there. I'm not sure that's what they did, but 16,000 different head models is dope. I know some people like going into there and customizing them. I'm not sure how available the customization tools are going to be just as of yet. We do know that certain people cannot be edited at all, but having that there for the generic and the generated players is definitely going to be amazing to give them a little bit more personality. Other elements such as the new redshirt rules will also be implemented. We need everything as up to date as possible. College changes so much and so quickly. It's always going to be something that's somewhat out of date, right? But getting as much stuff in as possible is definitely going to be a game changer. It's definitely going to be a game changer. So if I can have up to what, 4 games played and then redshirted player, I mean, that's cool. It's worth noting, due to the nature of NIL deals in the current state, draft classes will not be able to be exported into Madden. We talked about this when that happened. That is pretty much a straight legal issue. Yes, it dampened my excitement for Madden. Not gonna lie, because one of the main reasons I was like, okay, cool, I'll just get both of them on PlayStation instead of, you know, one on Xbox and one on PlayStation. I want them all in the same family because I could be able to export my draft classes over. That's not going to be a thing, but it makes a ton of sense, right? You have real life players in here that you signed. You probably in that contract did not say we want your likeness in NCAA and in Madden for only, what is it, $500, $600 for the minimum contract, right? So that probably did not happen. So I understand why it's not there. It sucks. Hopefully they have some type of companion app, and maybe some people could find their way around it. Of course, if they ever dropped NCAA on PC, you know the community will find a way around it if that is the case. So, you know, hopefully there's a workaround at some point. And the last one on the Dynasty side is the development team has also confirmed that creating a prospect will not be in the initial release, but plans to integrate down the road. That is going to be pretty big as well. People like, I never was big into creating a prospect, but you've seen it happen a ton. A lot of people do love that, and customizing their dynasty modes, and really as much customization as possible allowed to the player to let them create their own universe and do what they want to do within their mode. I'm all for it, man. So if they can figure that out, that's cool. One thing this tweet did not talk about that I do want to talk about is, of course, the lack of crossplay when it comes to dynasty mode. It's in almost everything else in the game. I will hope they patch it in at some point. It definitely sucks that it's not in day one. I'm gonna have to buy it for Xbox and for PlayStation, so I will hope I will only have to buy one, but it looks like for sure you're not gonna be able to do it probably soon. But EAFC has it, formerly FIFA. Madden has crossplay. They added it mid-season, and now it's going to be at the launch of the game. So I'm assuming maybe it's a patch later on in the year that we do get it, but until then, we don't have it, and it definitely sucks. All right, so on now to Road to Glory. Let's go over the Road to Glory stuff, and then we'll get out of here, man. But Road to Glory in College Football 25 will go above and beyond to mirror how players handle themselves both on and off the field. That's pretty cool stuff, right? The goal is to truly live the life of a college football player in the Road to Glory. The development team is aiming for a 10 to 20 hour, that is big, 10 to 20 hour experience for each created character that will span a 4-year career. So I'm sure because you can export your character, maybe you can leave after 3, but 10 to 20 hour experience is definitely, to me, a good enough amount where I feel fulfilled and I got a lot of time with my Road to Glory character. I think that's a solid amount, and I think it's 10 to 20 because you probably could leave after 3 years. But here's when we get to the good stuff. School choices provided by answering questions during the creation process. They don't have high school, so if you were looking for the high school process, that is not there. I was thinking maybe there will be some type of little drills that you could do like NCAA 06, but answering questions, and that's where the school process or the school's interested come from. Interesting. Not in love with it just from the sound of it, but maybe, you know, in practice, it sounds way much better than it sounds right here. 2 positions will be available are quarterback, running back, wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive back. The same that we have in superstar mode, which makes sense if we're going to be able to transfer them over. So sorry to all my old linemen. They don't have defensive end, which is shocking. I would assume that will at least be the defense or the line position that you will be able to use will be defensive end. Maybe though you could be an outside linebacker, a pass rushing linebacker, and that could kind of get you the defensive line fix if you want to do that. And then kickers, punters, sorry, no love being shown at all in Road to Glory. The created character has the option to go with an elite skill set, blue chip, contributor, or underdog. And this probably goes back with the school choice being questions. You're probably going to pick one of these, then answer those. And then based off that, that's going to be the schools that you get. Somewhat of a bummer still, but like I said, it does give you some flexibility enough where you could run through Road to Glory a couple times. Maybe you want to try out just being the top dog, that guy with the elite skill set. Then you want to be maybe just a contributor, right? Like let's see if he go, you know, to the MAC or somewhere like that. Underdog, that could be another route as well. So we'll see how this plays out. Like I said, in practice, it's just different than what we're used to. Archetypes and mental abilities will provide unique upgradable bonuses. This is really a gameplay feature because it's in all the game modes, but the abilities, the archetypes, all of that sounds cool. Being able to tier up the abilities as well. I mean, it sounds 2K-ish, but I like the system, even in NBA 2K. Sometimes 2K, you know, abilities matter more than ratings, but you guys get the point. I still think it's a fun system, and it does create some variety of players. So I'm not mad at it. This mode is rooted in the decision making, which can affect both career growth and academic growth. So is it going to be scenarios that show up kind of like in Madden in terms of decision making? That's what it sounds like to me. But we need more. I'm intrigued by this one though. We need more information. A certain GPA is expected to be academically eligible to play, and players will need to manage energy and time properly. Now, PS2, Road to Glory, I think it was Campus Legend back then. First it was Race to the Heisman and then Campus Legend mode. PS2 games, you had to maintain a certain GPA. You had to take a test, and you would select a major, and depending on the major, those are the type of questions you would get during your test, and you had to score well enough to maintain eligibility. You also had your schedule throughout the week, so you had to schedule practice with study, with just hanging out, socializing, all that stuff. I feel like it's kind of coming back. You see the overall, not goal, but theme is that a lot of features that fans love from the older games have returned, but they may be modified. So I think it's going to be along those lines, just tweaked a little bit. But that's cool. It gives you, again, something else to do in between games. If you're just playing game after game after game without anything in between in the middle, it falls flat and it ends up being boring, in my opinion. You need different obstacles. You need different things to create stories and just to create intrigue as you go throughout the season. So I'm cool with that. Number 7, the option to transfer every year via the portal is on the table. Furthermore, NIL deals will provide a unique in-game buff. So what do you get with these NIL deals? Is it plus speed, or is it gonna, like, I don't know. What does that mean? That sounds dope. That definitely sounds good. And then being able to transfer every single year. So even if you do start off at that smaller school, maybe you go work your way up. Or you're struggling at that big time school, or maybe it's not the right play style for you, or you just want to be a guy that experiences multiple universities. You will have that opportunity. 8, these players will be eligible to move over to Madden, which we talked about before, which I think created the position restrictions because Madden has had that. The currency for the mode will be coach trust. Earning more of this will move you up the depth chart. Again, very similar to how it was back in the early 2010. I think it was like 11 on, right, where you had the coach trust. So that seems like it is back. But currency, can you do extra stuff with that coach trust? Probably, but we'll see. This can be received a variety of ways, including position battles via mini games. So the position battles is back. I love that. You got to beat out the guy. You have an opportunity to beat out the guy. You got to ball in practice or do these mini games. These mini games can only be played once, which really creates the pressure, and players will need to make sure they have ample time and energy to compete in these. This may involve missing a test in school. So this is going back to maybe the decisions they were talking about earlier. You have to manage all aspects. You only get one shot, it seems, at those mini games. So I don't know how frequently they come, so that you missed it in week 4. When will it trigger again? Week 7, week 8? Does it not trigger again the rest of that season? But having that chance there just creates that pressure. I like you. You got it, one shot at it. You got to make it count. Earning more coach trust will also open more plays in the playbook. So one thing I don't like about Madden Superstar Mode is you could call any play. I do like the fact that the coach is going to essentially call a play for you. And then as you get more trust, then you start getting 3 plays to choose from, 6 plays to choose from, whatever the case might be. That sounds awesome. Player celebrations. Players will be able to select celebrations as the game offers and move celebrations this year across the board. Oh, so a bunch of celebrations. I heard they are crazy with it. You can start holding L1 or left bumper to get extra celebrations. You can chain celebrations together. All of that sounds dope, but of course we need to see it. And then this team has tied a combination of buttons with some supposedly hidden combos, like I just said, hitting a bunch of stuff to get this to work. So this is everything that we know so far about Dynasty mode and Road to Glory specifically. We know gameplay stuff as well. We are waiting on the actual deep dive. And man, I just don't know when we're going to get this deep dive. It has to be soon. Just logically looking at the calendar and knowing just how marketing goes, you need to get this information out in this time period. So I'm assuming we'll probably get something next week, the week before the 4th of July. I'm not sure if they give you information the 4th of July week. That will be a tough one to get information out on when people are definitely vacationing or maybe not be at home. So I would assume next week we'll get something, but we'll see, man. I'm so excited. I am so excited for College Football 25. It has been 10 years, really 11 years since we had this game, man. I cannot wait if y'all can't tell. So what are y'all thinking so far about Dynasty mode, Road to Glory mode, just the game in general? Are you feeling the hype? Is it a W for you so far? Is it an L, man? Do you think it's going to be a Madden reskin, even though they keep telling you it's not going to be a Madden reskin? Let me know how y'all are feeling about this game, man. Let's gauge the temperature in that comment section below. As usual, though, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button. Definitely helps me out a lot. And subscribe if you haven't already. It's DLloyd. I'm see y'all next time. Peace.